Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for tuning in with us today. We've got an update, a big update coming out of Knox County that specifically applies to students and staff within Knox County schools. A federal judge this afternoon ordered all students and staff within Knox County, so all of Knox County schools, to implement a mask mandate effective immediately. We got our hands on a 56 or so page lawsuit that came out today. At the very end, it indicates this line that I'll read you here. It says, Knox County Board of Education is ordered to enforce with immediate effect the mask mandate that was in place in all Knox County schools during the 2020-2021 school year. So I'll back up here, get you caught up to speed, and give you a little bit more information about what we have learned, what we know, and what we're still asking questions about, trying to get answers for you, because we know that there are several layers that apply to this, specifically for school. When does this happen? And then sports. We have several sporting events happening tonight. So we've got some questions that we're asking and some answers that we are working to get you here. So last year, of course, you know, the 2020-2021 school year, there was a mask mandate in place for Knox County. That, of course, did not go back into place for the start of this current school year. And most recently, early September 1st, I believe, is the date where Knox County Board of Education voted not to renew that mask mandate. So it's been a conversation, a point of conversation for several months and even into the school year. That vote, by the way, was very close, just 5-4 voting against the mask mandate. And I'll pull up our article that we have here so you can read along with the details as we continue to go through what we know and what we can share with you. This applies immediately for Knox County schools. So as we mentioned earlier, what exactly does that mean? Of course, Friday is a big night, especially in the fall, for sporting events, specifically football games. What does that mean for parents, for family, for spectators who are going to sporting events? Well, if you look at the lawsuit that I just read to you, the very end of that lawsuit, if you look at that and you think about what last year's mask mandate was in place in all Knox County schools, which is the ruling that the judge is requiring Knox County schools revert to, it says that's the one that we need to follow effective immediately. Well, we looked up with TSSAA for, I'm trying to find that paperwork here, for what exactly that means. And last year, sporting events needed to comply with whatever the mask mandate was for the county in which those schools are operating. So for Knox County specifically, there is no mask mandate, so we're not sure what that means for sporting events tonight, but we will keep you posted as soon as we have those questions answered for you. We've been in touch with Knox County schools asking exactly what this means for their policies and how they're going to navigate this in the classroom, on campuses, and then again at sporting events. And the spokesperson that we've been in touch with today tells us that they are looking over the policy, they're looking over the lawsuits, and they're going over exactly what that means. This news is very, very new, so we still don't have all of the information for you just yet, but of course we are working to get that for you. We just spoke with Mayor Jacobs, who's been very verbal about his stance on mask mandates, particularly not in favor of having mask mandates. Not saying that he's not in favor of people wearing masks, but the mandates specifically, he's been very vocal about his position on them. He said to us in an email, it's unfortunate to see another example of federal overreach in Knox County, subverting the legislative authority of both the Knox County Board of Education and the governor of the state of Tennessee. So that coming from Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs. And what he's referring to in part is, you probably know this, but Governor Bill Lee said that for school systems that are enforcing a mask mandate, that parents have the right to opt their children out of those mandates. So really what the governor has said this school year is the buck stops with the parents. If they don't want to send their child to school wearing a mask, then that is the parents' decision, regardless of what the mask mandate is for the school systems or for the individual schools. Now, the news coming out today, the judge blocking what Governor Lee says. So the judge would oversee what the governor is saying. So this no longer applies, basically, based on what the judge is saying. You may also be familiar with a lawsuit that was filed by 3 families in Knox County, all of whom have children with medical conditions. 2 of them, 2 out of the 3, are too young to receive the vaccine. And these 3 families sued Knox County Schools and sued Governor Bill Lee over the lack of the mask mandate, citing the American Disabilities Act. And in the lawsuit that we got today, the judge also cites that the mask mandate will go into place as a reasonable accommodation under the ADA, the American Disabilities Act, for plaintiffs and for class plaintiffs. So this is a reaction to the lawsuits that these 3 families in Knox County have filed, and now the judge is responding, saying that Knox County schools will, in fact, have a mask mandate that goes into place. So if you're just joining us, that's really the highlight for the news that's coming out today. A federal judge coming down and saying Knox County will immediately need to enforce mask mandates inside schools, on campuses, inside schools. Actually, that does bring up a really good point. Like I said, this is really new information, so not sure if this requires students and staff to wear masks when they're outside, if it's just when they're inside buildings, inside classrooms. Of course, as we know right now, most students in the elementary school and in some cases the middle school ages are not eligible to receive the vaccine. So this federal judge is just handing this down, as he says, another layer of safety. That judge, by the way, Ronnie Greer, who is ruling that Knox County schools must require students and staff to wear masks amid this legal battle that we just talked about with the 3 parents in Knox County suing the county and suing Governor Bill Lee over the mask mandate. So this takes place immediately. This goes into effect right away. Of course, it's Friday afternoon, 1:30, so school's really wrapping up for the week and for the day. So the next big question, like we've mentioned, is sporting events. What does this mean for spectators? What does this mean for the athletes who are competing? What does it mean for cheerleaders, for band, some of those other people who play a key role in the sporting events? What does that mean for people who are involved, particularly even tonight, because the judge is ruling in the paperwork, in the lawsuit that was filed. We looked at this, it's several pages long, but the last page of the lawsuit saying that it goes into effect immediately. So what does that mean for events that are happening tonight? We don't completely know the answer to that question right now. We have reached out to Knox County Schools, and their response to us was that they are also exploring what this mandate now means and how they will be able to stay in coordinates with the judge's ruling and still be able to host the events that it's hosting tonight, specifically with football games that were happening here in the next several hours. So we will, of course, keep you posted as soon as we know the answers to those questions. We have been reaching out to the people who make those decisions to make sure that you know what to do, what to expect when you go to these events happening tonight. And if you're just joining us, we haven't heard this information yet. You may be familiar with Governor Bill Lee's ruling. He said that if there is a mask mandate happening anywhere in Tennessee, any county in Tennessee, if your school system has a mask mandate in place, that it's ultimately up to the parents, regardless of the mandate that's in place or not in place. It is up to the parents whether or not they send their children to school wearing a face mask. But the judge's decision today overrules the statement, the emergency order that Governor Lee put into place. So regardless of what the governor has said previously, regardless of what parents and what school systems have done, have implemented previously, that no longer applies. Effective immediately, Knox County students and staff must wear a face mask at schools. This has been a big debate ever since the summer, really leading into this school year, even most recently as the meeting that the Knox County Board of Education had on September 1st, which was the last vote on the mask mandate, and it failed. The mandate failed 5-4. Which means there was no mask mandate that went into place in Knox County. Some of that information going against the recommendations of federal, national organizations, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the CDC, even the health department, Knox County Health Department, suggesting that people who are not vaccinated, not old enough to be vaccinated, schools in particular, they encourage masks. But regardless, the vote failed. But now the federal judge coming down and saying that Knox County has to immediately start wearing face masks when inside school. This did start this year. One of the topics that has been discussed this year was the 3 families in Knox County who have children with medical conditions sued the governor and sued Knox County schools based on discrimination under the Americans with Disabilities Act. Because their children, they ended up taking their children to virtual schools, and the judge issuing the response today to that lawsuit that came down from those parents who were the ones who sued the governor and sued the Knox County School Board. Mayor Jacobs, we've touched on what he's had to say here recently, has not been in favor of mask mandates of any kind at the county level, at the school level, has not been in favor of mandates in place. And he had a response that it's unfortunate to see another example of federal overreach in Knox County, subverting the legislative authority of both the Knox County Board of Education and the governor of Tennessee. So basically he's saying that he's disappointed that a federal judge would come down and issue this mask mandate in Knox County when it is against the decision of the governor and against the decision of the Knox County Board of Education. That is from Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs. His response to this federal ruling by a federal judge, Judge Ronnie Greer, is the person who came down and said, Knox County, everybody in your school system will need to wear a face mask effective immediately. So we would assume that beginning in schools Monday morning would be when this would take effect, but it could be sooner than that based on sporting events that are happening this weekend. We know we have several different sporting teams that are in season right now, and some of the factors that may go into place are, is it an event that's happening outside? Is it an event that's happening inside? We know that there's a difference, if you say, between going to a football game and maybe going to a volleyball game. If volleyball is happening inside, football is happening outside, there could be different rules, different regulations that go into place at sporting events. When you bring in spectators, you bring in family, friends, people who are there to watch the game. So there could be some changes that happen when it comes to sporting events specifically. We want to get those answers for you as soon as we can, because it's already 2 o'clock, so we're counting down just several hours before kickoff for several football games tonight. So we will make sure that we get you that information so that you are prepared when you go to the events and you know exactly what you need to do, what you need to have with you, so that there won't be a problem when you're trying to get inside. We've reached out to Knox County asking some of those questions, and because this information is so new, the lawsuit coming down, the federal judge's ruling coming down rather just several hours ago, we reached out to Knox County schools, asked them what can we expect, what can parents expect, what's going to happen moving forward, and their response to us was that they're still reviewing everything that came down in this lawsuit. Like I said, if you look at it here, we've got it printed out several pages long, 50, 60 pages long, and so there's a lot of information that Knox County will need to review so that it has all of the information that you need to know as a parent, as a grandparent, as somebody who has somebody who you love inside the Knox County school system. And this could be a precedent for other school systems in the area. So we will keep an eye on what that means as well. But for now, we do know the last page of that lawsuit that came down, or the last page of that order that came down, was that Knox County Board of Education is ordered to enforce with immediate effect the mask mandate that was in place in all Knox County schools during the 2020-2021 school year as a reasonable accommodation under the FDA for plaintiffs and for class plaintiffs. So that language there is very specific regarding to what was in place last year. So if we think back to the 2020-2021 school year, what were the mask mandates specifically? It does not indicate that it needs to follow all restrictions. It's only specific to the mask mandates. So what were the mask mandates in place for 2020-2021? Well, in Knox County, there was a mask mandate. So students and staff were, in fact, wearing masks inside Knox County schools. So we know, we can be fairly certain that that same ruling will apply beginning Monday. When students go back to school after the weekend, that there will be that same mask mandate in effect. The biggest question that we've been talking about, if you've been with us for several minutes, is what this means for weekend events, for extracurriculars, for sporting events, things like that, when you not only have people who are in school, but also, or at least school-aged, enrolled in those schools, but you also have other guests who are coming to spectate. Last year we had capacity limits at certain sporting events, but it does not, this ruling does not say anything at all about capacity limitations. It is just specific to the mask mandate only. So we are trying to get that information because this ruling was very clear. The judge said that this will be coming down effective immediately. So we can only assume that there will at least have to be some kind of clarification when it comes to what this means for school-sanctioned events, specifically football as early as tonight. This ruling that has come down from the federal judge overrules what the governor has said. So the governor for the past several months has stood by his stance on whatever the schools decide. If the school decides that there's going to be a mask mandate, if the district decides that there's going to be a mask mandate, then the parents still have the decision and still have the authority not to send their child. If they choose, they do not need to send their child to school wearing a mask. But this judge's order overrules what Governor Lee has previously said. So now, moving forward, effective immediately, there is no opt-out of wearing a face mask. This does not have any exemptions for people who are vaccinated. This does not have any exemptions for other than, well, really, there are no exemptions. So everybody who is a student or a staff at Knox County, in Knox County schools, not in the county, but in the schools only, will need to be wearing a face mask at school, possibly at extracurricular activities, effective immediately. The school board has continuously voted down the mask mandate when we're specifically talking about this school year. Last year was different. This year, the school board has continually voted down the mask mandate. Most recently, September 1st, there was a vote of 5-4 against the mask mandate. So therefore, Knox County continued to operate without one. Students were still more than welcome to wear one if they chose to wear one, but there was not a mask mandate that was requiring students and staff to wear a face mask. That now has changed as the judge's ruling overrules all previous notions. There will be a mask mandate in effect, effective immediately with Knox County schools. Of course, we will continue to follow this information as it develops. We will continue asking the questions. If you have any questions, please let us know so we can ask the right people and get them answered for you. We're more than happy to do that. But we will continue to get the questions that you have answered regarding the new mask mandate that came down from a federal judge Friday afternoon, this afternoon, requiring all students and staff in Knox County to now wear a face mask. Knox County schools will implement a mask policy effective immediately. You can keep up to date right where you are here on our WVLT Facebook page, also on the WVLT News app, and we will keep you updated on air as well. Have a great day.